Above all this war without honor lies that which I find hard to put into writing, and thou knowest I am unhandy of the pen. I will ride the steed of inability sideways at the wall of expression. The earth underfoot is sick and sour with much handling of men, as a grazing ground sours under cattle, and the air is sick too. Upon the ground they have laid in this town, as it were, the stinking boards of a stable, and through these boards, between a thousand houses, the rank humours of the earth sweat through to the overburdened air that returns them to their breeding place. For the smoke of their cooking fires keeps all in as a cover, as keeps all in as the cover the juices of the sheep. And in like manner there is a green sickness among the people, and especially among the 600 men who talk. Neither winter nor autumn abates that malady of the soul. I have seen it among women in our own country, and in boys not yet blooded to the sword, but I have never seen so much thereof before. Through the peculiar operation of this thing, the people, abandoning honor and steadfastness, question all authority, not as men question, but as girls, whimperingly, with pinched in the back when the back is turned and mowing. If one cries in the streets, there has been an injustice, they take him not to make complaint to these appointed, but all who pass, drinking his words, fly clamorously to the houses of the accused, and write evil things of him, his wives, and his daughters. For they take no thought to the weighing of evidence, but are as women. And with one hand they beat their constables who guard the streets, and with the other beat the constables for resenting that beating, and fine them. When they have in all things made light of the state, they cry to the state for help, and it is given, so that the next time they will cry more. Such as are oppressed riot through the streets, bearing banners that hold 4 days' labor and a week's bread in cost and toil. And when neither horse nor foot can pass by, they are satisfied. Others, receiving wages, refuse to work till they get more, and the priests help them, and also men of the 600. For where rebellion is, one of those men will come as a kite to a dead bullock. And priests, talkers, and men together declare that it is right, because these will not work that no others may attempt. In this manner they have so confused the loading and the unloading of the ships that come to this town that, in sending the Rao Sahib's guns and harnesses, I saw fit to send the cases by the train to another ship that sailed from another place. There is now no certainty in any sending, but who injures the merchants shuts the door of well-being on the city and the army. And ye know what Sa'id saith. How may the merchants westward fare when he hears the tale of tumults there? No man can keep faith, because he cannot tell how his underlings will go. They have made the servant greater than the master, for that he is the servant, not reckoning that each is equal under God to the appointed task. That is the thing to be put aside in the cupboard of the mind. Further, the misery and outcry of the common folk, of whom the earth's bosom is weary, has so wrought upon the minds of certain people who have never slept under fear, nor seen the flat edge of the sword on the head of a mob, that they cry out, "Let us abate everything that is, and altogether labor with our bare hands." Their hands, in that employ, would fester at the second stroke, and I have seen, for all their unrest at the agonies of others, they abandon no whit of soft living. Unknowing the common folk, or indeed the minds of men, they offer strong drink of words, such as they themselves use, to empty bellies, and that wine breeds drunkenness of soul. The distressful persons stand all day long at the door of the drinking places, to the number of very many thousands. The well-wishing people of small discernment give them words or pitiful attempts in schools to turn them into craftsmen, weavers, or builders, of whom there be more than enough. Yet they have not the wisdom to look at the hands of the taught, whereon a man's craft and that of his father is written by God in necessity. They believe that the son of a drunkard shall drive a straight chisel, and the charioteer do plaster work. They take no thought in the dispensation of generosity, which is as the closed fingers of a water-scooping palm. Therefore the rough timber of a very great army drifts unhewn through the slime of their streets. If the government, which is today and tomorrow changes, spent on those hopeless ones some money to clothe and equip, I should not write what I write. But these people despise the trade of arms, and rest content with the memory of old battles, the women and the talking men aiding them. Thou wilt say, why speak continually of women and fools? I answer, by God, the fashioner of the heart, the fools sit among the 600, and the women sway their counsel. Hast thou forgotten when the order came across the sea that rotted out the armies of the English with us, so that the soldiers fell sick by the hundreds, but where 10 had sickened before? That was the work of not more than 20 of the men, and some 50 of the barren women. I have seen 3 or 4 of them, male and female, and they triumph openly in the name of their God, because 3 regiments of white troops are not. This is to our advantage, because the sword with rust spots breaks over the turban of the enemy. But if they thus tear their own flesh and blood, ere their madness be risen to its height, what will they do when the moon is full? Seeing that power is laid in the hands of the 600, and not in the viceroy or elsewhere, I have throughout my stay sought the shadow of those among them who talk most and most extravagantly. They lead the common folk, and receive permission from their good will. It is the desire of some of these men, indeed of almost as many as caused the rotting of the English army, that our lands and people should accurately resemble those of the English upon this very day. May God, the condemner of folly, forbid! I myself am encountered a show among them, and of us and ours they know not, some calling me Hindu, and others Rajput, and using towards me in ignorance slave talk and expressions of great disrespect. Some of them are well born, but the greater part are low born, coarse-skinned, waving their arms, high-voiced, without dignity, slack in mouth, shifty-eyed, and, as I have said, swayed by the wind of a woman's cloak. Now this is a tale but 2 days old. There was a company at meat, and a high-voiced woman spoke to me, in the face of the men, of the affairs of our womankind. It was her ignorance that made each word an edged insult. Remembering this, I held my peace till she had spoken a new law as to the control of our zenas, and all who were behind the curtains. Then hast thou ever felt the life stir under thy heart, or laid a little sun between thy breasts, O most unhappy? Thereto she hotly, with a haggard eye, No, for I am a free woman, and no servant of babes. Then I softly, God deal lightly with thee, my sister, for thou art in heavier bondage than any slave, and the fuller half of the earth is hidden from thee. The first 10 years of the life of a man are his mother's, and from the dusk to dawn surely the wife may command the husband. It is a great thing to stand back in the waking hours while the men go abroad unhampered by thy hands on the bridle rein. Then she wondered that a heathen should speak thus, yet she is a woman honoured among these men, and openly professes that she hath no profession of faith in her mouth. Read this in the ear of Rao Sahib, and demand how it would fare with me if I brought such a woman for his use. It were worse than the yellow desert-bred girl from Kutch, who set the girls to fighting for her own pleasure, and slippered the young prince across the mouth. Rememberest thou? In truth, the fountainhead of power is putrid with long standing still. These men and women would make of all India a dung cake, and would fain leave the mark of the fingers upon it. And they have power and the control of the revenues, and that is why I am so particular in description. They have power over all India. Of what they speak they understand nothing, for the low-born soul is bounded by his field, and he grasps not the connection of affairs from pole to pole. They boast openly that the viceroy and the others are their servants. When the masters are mad, what shall the servants do? Some hold that all war is sin, and death the greatest fear under God. Others declare with the prophet that it is evil to drink, to which teaching their streets to bear evident witness, and others there are, especially the low-born, who aver that all domination is wicked and sovereignty of the sword is accursed. These protested to me, making, as it were, an excuse that their kin should hold Hindustan, and hoping that upon a day they will depart. Knowing well the breed of white men in our borders, I would have laughed, but forbear, remembering that these speakers had the power of the counting of heads. Yet others cry aloud against the taxation of Hindustan under the Sahib's rule. To this I assent, remembering the yearly mercy of Rao Sahib, when the turbans of the troopers came through the blighted corn, and the women's anklets go into the melting pot. But I am no good speaker. That is the duty of the boys from Bengal, hill asses with an eastern bray, Maraths from Pune, and the like. These, moving among fools, represent themselves as the sons of someone, being beggar-taught, offsprings of grain dealers, couriers, sellers of bottles, and money-lenders, as thou knowest. Now we of Jagasur owe naught save friendship to the English, who took us by the sword, and having taken us, let us go, assuring the Rao Sahib's succession for all time. But these, base-born, having won their learning through the mercy of the government, attired in English clothes, forswearing the faith of their fathers for gain, spread rumors and debate against government, and are, therefore, very dear to certain of the 600. I have heard these cattle speak as princes and rulers of men, and I have laughed, but not altogether. Once it happened that a son of some grain bag sat with me at meat, who was arrayed in speaking after the manner of the English. At each mouthful he committed perjury against the salt that he had eaten, the men and women applauding. When, craftily falsifying, he had managed oppression and invented untold wrong, together with the desecration of his ton-bellied gods, he demanded in the name of his people the government of all our lands, and, turning, laid palm to my shoulder, saying, "Here is one who is with us, albeit he professes another faith. He will bear out my words." This he delivered in English, and, as it were, exhibiting to me that company, preserving a smiling countenance, I answered in our own tongue, "Take away that hand, man without a father, or the folly of these folks shall not save thee, nor my silence guard thy reputation. Sit off, herd." And in their speech I said, "He speaks truth. When the favor and wisdom of the English allows us yet a little larger share in the burden and reward, the Mussulman will deal with the Hindu. He alone saw what was in my heart. I was merciful towards him because he was accomplishing our desires, but remember that his father was one Durga Charan Laha in Calcutta. Lay thy hand upon his shoulder if ever chance sends. It is not good that bottle dealers and auctioneers should paw the sons of princes. I walked abroad sometime with the man that all this world may know the Hindu and Mussalman are one, but when we come to the unfrequented streets, I bid him walk behind me, and that is sufficient honor. And why did I eat dirt? Thus, my brother, it seems to my heart, which has almost burst in the consideration of these matters, the Bengalis and beggar-taught boys know well that the Sahib's power to govern comes neither from the viceroy nor the head of the army, but from the hands of the 600 in this town, and peculiarly those who talk most. They will therefore yearly address themselves more and more to that protection, and working on the green sickness of the land, as has ever been their custom, will in time cause, through the perpetually instigated interference of the 600, the hand of the Indian government to become inoperative, so that no measure nor order may be carried through without clamor and argument on their part, for that is the delight of the English at this hour. Have I overset the bounds of possibility? No, even thou must have heard that one of the 600, having neither knowledge, fear, nor reverence before his eyes, has made in sport a new and written scheme for the government of Bengal, and openly shows it abroad as a king might read his crowning proclamation. And this man, meddling in affairs of state, speaks in the council for an assemblage of leather dressers, makers of boots and harness, and openly glories in that he has no God, has either minister of the member of the Empress, empress, viceroy, or any other raised a voice against this leather man? Is not his power therefore to be sought, and that of his like thinkers with it? Thou seest. The telegraph is the servant of the 600, and all the sahibs in India, omitting not one, are the servants of the telegraph. Yearly, too, thou knowest, the beggar tot will hold that which they call their congress, first at one place and then at another, leavening Hindustan with rumor, echoing the talk among the low-born people here, and demanding that they, like the 600, control the revenues. And they will bring every point and letter over the heads of the governors and the lieutenant governors, and whoever hold authority, and cast it clamorously at the feet of the 600 here, and certainly of those word confounders, and the barren women will assent to their demands, and others will weary of disagreement. Thus fresh confusion will be thrown into the councils of the empress, even as the island near by is helped and comforted into the smothered war of which I have written. Then yearly, as they have begun, and we have seen, the low-born men of the 600, anxious for honor, will embark for our land, and, staying a little while, will gather round them and fawn before the beggar tot, and these departing from their side will assuredly inform the peasants and the fighting men for whom there is no employ, that there is a change towards and a coming of help from over the seas. That rumor will not grow smaller in the spreading, and most of all the Congress, when it is not under the eye of the 600, who, though they foment dissension and death, pretend great reverence for the law, which is no law, will, stepping aside, deliver uneasy words to the peasants, speaking, as it has done already, of the remission of taxation, and promising a new rule. That is to our advantage, but the flower of danger is in the seeds of it. Thou knowest what evil a rumor may do, though in the black year then, when thou and I were young, our standing to the English brought gain to Jagasur and enlarged our borders, for the government gave us land on both sides of the Congress. Of the Congress itself, nothing is to be feared that 10 troopers cannot remove. But if its words too soon perturb the minds of those waiting, or of princes in idleness, a flame may come before the time, and since there are now many white hands to quench it, it will return to the former condition. If the flame be kept under, we need have no fear, because, sweating and panting, the one trampling on the other, the white people here are digging their own graves. The hand of the viceroy will be tied. The hearts of the Sahib will be downcast, and all eyes will turn to England, disregarding any orders. Meantime, keeping tally on the sword hilt against the hour when the score must be made smooth by the blade, it is well for us to assist and greatly befriend the Bengali, that he may get control of the revenues and the posts. We must even write to England that we be of one blood with the schoolmen. It is not long to wait, by my head, it is not long. This people are like the great King Firish, who, eaten with the scabs of long idleness, plucked off his crown and danced naked among the dunghills. But I have not forgotten the profitable end of that tale. The vizier set him upon a horse and led him into battle. Presently his health returned, and he caused to be engraven on the crown, "Though I was cast away by the king, yet through God I returned, and he added to my brilliance." 2 great rubies, Baka and Aran. If this people be purged and bled out by battle, their sickness may go and their eyes be cleared to the necessity of things. But they are now far gone in rottenness. Even the stallion, too long heel-roped, forgets how to fight, and these men are mules. I do not lie when I say that unless they are bled and taught with the whip, they will hear and obey all that is said by the Congress and the black men here, hoping to turn our land into their own orderless Jehannam. For the men of the 600, chiefly being low-born and unused to authority, desire much to exercise rule, extending their arms to the sun and moon, and shouting very greatly in order to hear the echo of their voices, each one saying some new strange thing, and parting the goods and honor of others among the rapacious, that he may obtain the favor of the common folk. and all of this is to our advantage.